Well, hey everybody. So glad you could join me today. And I wanted to review with everyone my Flow Hive experience and my insights and conclusions. I've been working with Flow Hives for about 2 years and I am in zone 8. So I can speak, I think, clearly to my situation and how I found success with the Flow Hive super system. And I know the Flow Hives get a lot of negative press, but I really like them for a whole bunch of reasons, and I'll get into that as we go along. So, my initial expectations and goals for using my Flow Hive was because I run my bee yard all by myself. Don't want to have to try to bring in and pay extra labor because that adds to the final cost of the product. And I started with one Flow Hive. In the first year, I just had one brood box on the bottom and one flow super on the top. And I got honey. I got a lot of honey out of it. And things worked really well. And that also was an exceptional year for what was flowering and blooming in zone 8 in my region. And this is my setup where I used one brood box with the Flow Hive supers, and there were 10, not 10 supers, I have 10 on there, that's wrong. There was actually 7 supers. I love the little panel on the side. As you can see, this was a really strong colony, at least on this day. They were bearding on the outside, and I have it in an area of my yard that it was fenced in. So these bees, also another thing to take into consideration, they don't have to compete with other bees, like, for example, if they were in a bee yard. So this first year, this worked really well for me. Now, what I have found with using Flow Hives in my honeybee yard, and this was something I tried this year, which I thought would work. Okay, my first year I only had one Flow Hive, and then my second year, I loved it so much I bought 10 of them. Yeah, that was a really big investment, but I thought it would pay off because I would save money with and time with the extraction process. Um, that was my rationale. Plus, I would also not have to pull supers from the bee yard to my house. Blah 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 blah. Okay, but here are some of the things that I learned. A really strong hive is essential, and you've got to have uh, bees that are really going to do the foraging, and you've got to have a high bee population. Now, this setup is where you have a brood box on the bottom, another brood box in the middle, and then I have my flow super on top. I realized late in the season that this was not the ideal setup because what my bees did, once again, these are my bees native to zone 8 and what's growing in my particular area. That second brood box you see on there, they filled it with honey. So there were literally 10 frames of just pure honey, no queen excluder. They basically kept their queen, the brood, and eggs, and some honey in the bottom brood box. And then the second brood box was full of honey. So by the time I put the third the actual flow honey super on, the bees just basically ignored it. But it wasn't because the bees did not like the Flow Hive. Um, some people say, oh, they don't like it because it's plastic. Okay, pretty much a lot of stuff in beekeeping is plastic. So that wasn't it. What I've come to a conclusion is there was not enough bloom time or foraging time for them. They already filled one box with 10 frames of honey. Um, Now my expectation was them to fill a second box with 7 frames of the Flow Supers. Not a good idea. What I did do, I took that second brood box full of honey supers, I took that off and I left that honey super on there. And after about 2 weeks, the bees have it about 50% full. So my thought was by having the 2 brood boxes, it would speed up honey production. But in reality, the second brood box, they filled it with honey, and I had to take it home, extract it, and do all the cleanup work. And it was fine because the honey's great. So I am not complaining because I did get honey this year. Woo! Now, my conclusion is for me in Zone 8, given what's planted, is the best thing to do is stick to 1 brood box and put the honey super on at the appropriate time. And the appropriate time being when there are plenty of bees in box number 1, in the brood box. And what I'm finding is bees cannot and will not fill 2 brood boxes. You would assume that the queen would move up and would lay eggs and stuff in that second brood. No, mine did not. So I think in sticking to what I did the first year, 1 brood box and 1 flow super. And as soon as, or if, and what we're going to find out this season and next season, will they fill up that honey super, and I can take it off and put another empty honey super on, and will they fill that up? I don't know, but we're going to find out together. And if you make sure you subscribe, you will be notified of all the updates. So if you're going to use Flow Hives in a sort of commercial production method, don't do what I did. What you see in this picture here, don't do this. Do not use 2 brood boxes. Oh, okay, I didn't use 2 brood boxes. It didn't work for me. But hey, let me dial that back. Maybe it'll work for you. But you definitely have to make sure there's adequate forage available, that the bees have sufficient time to build up their strength and build comb, build comb on your foundation frames, and that you have a high bee population and your activity levels are good, that you're mindful of all of these things. So my personal recommendation, use your Flow Hive supers with strong single brood hives. Monitor and adjust based on your specific environment and bee behavior. And be prepared for potential challenges with the honey flow. So I hope that by sharing my experiences with you, it will help you to do better. I wish I had had all this information when I first started, but sometimes I think it is trial by fire. You just got to go through it. So, future plans. Will I purchase Flow Hive supers again? Yes. But I have so many of them, I'm not going to purchase anytime soon unless, they all get destroyed or break down or something. But I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But for next season, I am definitely focusing on single brood boxes and my hive strength. Oh, right here, these 2 hives, these Flow Hives with Flow supers. And what the bees did in March, they swarmed a lot. I only recall when I was just using a single brood box and 1 flow super that the bees only swarmed at least once, and it wasn't anything near this. This was actually like 2 boxes swarming at the same time. So yeah, also got to keep learning, got to keep an open mind, and keep working with my bees and the whole situation, and in order to reach the ultimate goal, keep the bees alive, and make honey. So, to summarize everything, I've been through a lot with my bees. I've had to do a lot of reading, watching YouTube videos. I joined a lot of Facebook beekeeping groups. I started out originally with 1 bee mentor, but now I've got 2 bee mentors, and I always kind of, before I do something with the bees, I think about it, plan about it, talk to my bee mentors, do more research, and then ultimately, sometimes I might even make a decision not to do anything, just leave well enough alone. But sometimes I do have to have some, do some sort of intervention with my bees. But once again, best thing I would, what's worked best for me with my bees, my honeybees, and flow supers, one brood box, one flow super. Make sure the hive is strong. Make sure you're putting that flow super on at the right time. Make sure you've got a good 80%, 90% coverage of bees in that bottom brood box. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about right now, it's okay. You're going to learn because now you're into beekeeping. Welcome to the club. So, I think, is that the conclusion? That's it? Yeah. Oh, the other thing. In my horizontal hives, I don't have a picture of this, but I did find bees will skip over the flow frames and then draw comb on regular frames for some reason. I'm not really sure why they do that, but I will save that information and results and have an answer for you at some point. So that is all for now. So I hope you enjoyed this little presentation and have a great day.